Could humans, or at least their ancestors, have stood on the shores of Alaska nearly 500,000 years ago, when the idea of Homo sapiens hadn't even taken shape? This isn't the premise of a sci-fi thriller. It's rooted in real archaeological and climatic breakthroughs. Somewhere deep in time, nearly 417,000 years ago, in what we now know as Siberia, a story was unfolding that should have been impossible. Beneath layers of frozen earth, permafrost that would later lock secrets away for millennia, our ancestors left behind the faint but undeniable traces of their struggle. Scattered stone tools, carefully butchered mammal bones, and the blackened remnants of hearths whisper of human presence in a land most would think unlivable. These are not the echoes of a fleeting visit. They are the fingerprints of endurance, of people carving out existence where the cold should have crushed them. And with each discovery, we are forced to ask, have we underestimated the resilience and the timeline of early human survival? For those early humans who dared to step into the northern wilderness, fire was more than a tool. It was survival itself. Imagine the endless Siberian nights where temperatures plunged and predators prowled the dark. A glowing hearth pushed back the cold, warded off wolves, and kept swarms of biting insects at bay. Flames turned raw meat into nourishment and boiling water into safety from unseen parasites. But fire was also a teacher, demanding patience, skill, and knowledge to keep it alive. To master fire was to claim a lifeline, a fragile circle of warmth in a hostile world. Without it, no human could have endured the brutal winters. With it, our ancestors stood a chance, not just to survive, but to push farther into lands no one thought humans could call home. When we picture Siberia today, we imagine endless snowfields, frozen rivers, and winds that cut to the bone. But 400,000 years ago, the story was very different. This was the age of a super interglacial, when global warmth transformed the North into a lush and living world. Imagine vast coniferous and deciduous forests stretching across the horizon, meadows buzzing with life, and rivers swollen with meltwater feeding into the Arctic seas. Herds of grazing animals roamed freely, and predators followed in their wake, creating an ecosystem rich with opportunity. For early humans, this was no wasteland, but an invitation. A land where food, wood, and water were abundant. It was here, in this green Siberia, that archaic hominins first tested the limits of their endurance, pushing into landscapes we once thought they could never reach. In the heart of Siberia, along the winding Lena River, lies a site that rewrote everything we thought we knew about the human story in the north. Known as Daring Uriak, sometimes called Dying Urik, it was first uncovered in 1982, but for decades its true age remained clouded in uncertainty. Only with the advent of cosmogenic nuclide dating did the sediments finally reveal their secret. These tools and traces were 417,000 years old. That single number shattered long-held assumptions, pushing the timeline of human presence in Siberia back by hundreds of thousands of years. Primitive though the stone flakes and cores may appear, their presence in such a northerly land was revolutionary. They stand as undeniable proof that archaic humans were not merely clinging to survival. They were explorers, pressing into the very edges of the world. At first glance, the tools uncovered at Daring Uriak seem almost unimpressive. Rough flakes struck from larger stones, blunt cores that served as cutting edges. They lack the elegant symmetry of later hand axes, or the refined blades of more advanced cultures. Yet their true power lies not in form, but in presence. These tools prove that humans were here, not by accident, but with intention. Someone carried the raw stone, struck it with purpose, and used it to cut meat, scrape hides, or shape wood. In this harsh northern world, every flake was a lifeline. Their simplicity hides a deeper truth: mobility, adaptability, and a will to survive at latitudes once thought uninhabitable. To stand in Siberia with such tools was not primitive. It was revolutionary, a bold step in humanity's relentless march into the unknown. To understand why humans could reach so far north, we must step into the climate of marine isotope stage 11. This was no ordinary interlude. It was one of the warmest and longest interglacials of the last 500,000 years. Forests spread across Siberia, rivers surged with life, and sea levels rose as high or even higher than they are today. Yet paradoxically, this warmth still allowed the Bering land bridge to emerge at intervals. All it took was a modest cooling, a drop in sea levels by a few dozen meters, and suddenly a vast corridor opened between Asia and North America. In this shifting landscape, mammoths and other great beasts moved freely, and humans could have followed. Stage 11 was both gift and gateway, a climatic stage that gave our ancestors a chance to test the very edges of their world. Long before humans left clear footprints in North America, mammoths had already blazed the trail. Genetic studies reveal that around 420,000 years ago, these giants crossed the Bering land bridge, mingling with native populations and giving rise to new lineages. Their migration tells us something crucial. If a creature weighing several tons could survive the journey, finding pasture, water, and shelter along the way, then smaller, mobile bands of humans could as well. Mammoths acted as ecological scouts, proving the corridor was open, viable, and rich enough to sustain life. For archaic humans, following their herds would have been logical, even strategic. The mammoth's journey is not just a zoological detail. It is a mirror, showing us the possibilities our ancestors may have seized in their quiet push toward new worlds. Skeptics often point to the absence of human bones at Daring Uriak as a weakness in the story. But in truth, this silence in the soil is exactly what we should expect. The site lies in wind-blown sands, a restless environment where organic matter rarely survives the passage of centuries, let alone hundreds of thousands of years. Bones crumble, decay, or are swept away, leaving behind only the most durable traces: stone tools, cut-marked animal remains, the faint scars of hearths. Archaeology often speaks in fragments, and absence does not mean non-existence. The missing bones are not evidence of missing people. They are a reminder of how fragile the human body is compared to stone and fire. What remains is enough to whisper the truth. Someone was here, living, adapting, enduring. To imagine how early humans reached Siberia, we need only look eastward to their cousins in China. Around the same time, Homo erectus communities there were experimenting with bone drills, simple yet ingenious tools that pierced shells, wood, and perhaps even hides. Archaeologists also point to evidence of targeted beaver hunting, not only for meat but possibly for pelts, a hint of symbolic or strategic thinking. The crafting of tailored hide clothing would have been more than a luxury. It was survival gear, a second skin that allowed fragile bodies to withstand harsh climates. Together, these practices reveal a portrait of flexibility, foresight, and cultural depth. If they could innovate in the valleys of East Asia, they could just as easily carry those skills northward into the demanding expanses of Siberia. What if the story of human movement is older, bolder, and far more mysterious than we once believed? Imagine small, determined bands of fur-clad hominins pushing northward, slipping across land bridges revealed during fleeting drops in sea level, or even daring the frozen surfaces of seasonal sea ice. Their footprints, if they ever existed, may now lie erased beneath rising oceans and shifting sediments, leaving little for archaeologists to uncover. Yet the absence of proof is not proof of absence. The possibility alone reshapes how we think about courage, adaptability, and the reach of human ambition. It whispers that the first steps into the Americas may have been taken not tens of thousands, but hundreds of thousands of years ago, rewriting the very foundation of prehistory. Siberia's frozen earth is not just a graveyard. It is a vault, a time capsule of astonishing clarity. From the permafrost have emerged wolf pups more than 14,000 years old, their tiny stomachs still carrying the last meals of the Ice Age. Even deeper, scientists have revived giant viruses lying dormant for 30,000 years, stirring unsettling questions about what else slumbers beneath the frost. Each discovery is a reminder that permafrost does not simply bury, it preserves. It holds intact the whispers of vanished ecosystems, the stories of vanished species, and perhaps, one day, the traces of the first humans bold enough to challenge these icy frontiers. Siberia is less a wasteland than a frozen archive, waiting for its secrets to thaw. The daring Uryak site does more than anchor a moment in deep time. It stands as a sentinel, reminding us that endurance and ingenuity are not modern inventions, but ancient legacies. Yet the story is far from finished. The frozen soils of Siberia hold countless unwritten chapters, each layer concealing the footsteps of wandering Homo, each shard of stone or trace of fire waiting to speak. What else lies hidden beneath the frost? Unseen migrations, forgotten tools, perhaps even bones of those who dared the edge of the world. The answers remain buried, but the questions themselves pull us forward. And here, in Prehistoric Shadows, we will keep following those questions, drawing you closer to the mysteries of who we are and how we came to be. If stories of ancient endurance, mystery, and frozen secrets intrigue you, come with us as we peel back the layers of deep prehistory. Subscribe to Prehistoric Shadows and step into the icy trails of our earliest ancestors.